It is the 30th day of the 6th month of the year. We've made it through the first half of the year 2020. If you're watching this, I'm glad you're well wherever you are. I hope you're staying safe and you are doing all you can so that you can be able to help us all mitigate the spread of COVID-19. It's coming at a time when cases continue to surge. Over 10 million people have recorded positive cases of COVID-19, which has also claimed over 500,000 lives. So if you're alive today, it's a reason to be grateful. The first half is gone. We remain with 6 more months to go for the year 2020, and we are hopeful that all will go well. My name is Safin Achieng Oma. Welcome on board as we seek to inform you on what has been happening in Kenya and beyond borders. Our sign language interpreter is Lucy Mwaura. Now, today we got so much lined up for you right here on a comprehensive news bulletin, from matters politics to the corridors of justice, and also an update with regards to the latest figures on how the spread of COVID-19 is coming along. Now, we want to begin straight away at the corridors of justice. Now, remember the 2 rugby players, Alex Alaba and Frank Wanyama, who were found guilty of gang raping a female musician. Just a case that was there a few months ago, and they were slapped a 15 years jail term. Now, the latest updates, as we receive from our reporter Sarafina Robi, is that that sentence has been quashed. Now, the reason why this is happening, and more coming from the corridors of justice, she's joining us now live just to give us an update on what has been happening at the courts this morning. A very good afternoon, Sarafina. Kindly bring us up to speed with the latest, happenings with regards to this case that touch on the 2 rugby players and what you also gather from the corridors of justice today.
A very good afternoon, Safin. You're coming to you live from the Milimani Law Courts here in Nairobi. But it has been a little bit dramatic in the past few minutes. But earlier on, we were able to follow up on a number of cases that have been happening here at the Milimani Law Courts, including plea takings, hearings, and judgments that have happened today on Tuesday here at the Milimani Law Courts. Some of the key cases that we've been able to follow up include a case that involves a KRA, that is Kenya Revenue Authority Manager Joseph Gikonyo, and his wife Lucy Kanangi, who have been accused of a tax evasion amounting to about 38 million shillings from the accrued investments across the country. But the prosecution was able to defend their case, saying that, or the prosecution was able to table their case by they say that if indeed the accused is Joseph Gikonyo and the wife were to be released on bail, which they were seeking today before Magistrate Lawrence Mugambi, then they'll have to be given bail that commensurates to the amount, to the same amount. And if indeed they were to be released on a bail, then they were not allowed to come into contact with either of the witnesses, given that they have been working at the Kenya KRA, Kenya Regulatory Authority, but they have been told that if they are released on bail, then they should not come into contact with either of the witnesses, and also that if they are to be released on cash bail, then it should commiserate to the same amount. By their defense lawyer as well, they also spoke to the same amount, saying that the prosecutors were kind of trying to criminalize the whole issue, and therefore also given that they had also said that if they were to be released on cash bail, then their travel documents, that is their passports, should be taken. The defense lawyer was able to talk to the magistrate, saying that this was not really the case, given that anyone who takes plea in the court, their travel documents are not taken away. During the ruling that was given by the magistrate, who is Lawrence Mugambi, they were able to be given a cash bail of 5 million shillings and an alternative one of about 10 million shillings, saying that also directing the prosecution to ensure that they table all their evidences within 7 days, and also giving directions that all their passports, that they should give their passports or their travel documents. Also, another case that we were able to follow up involves a case that involves two former rugby players who are Alex Alaba and just a minute, who are Alex Alaba and Frank Wanyama, who had earlier on been accused of a case that involved whereby they had been the sentence that had been given a judgment whereby of about 15 years imprisonment that has been quashed today, and there will be fresh trial in regards to the case which happened later on, whereby Alex Alaba and Frank Wanyama had been found guilty of gang raping a young female musician at their apartment and were handed a 15 years jail sentence. Well, this is one of the cases that we're still following up so as to get the clear documents from their lawyers, so as to get to know some of the details that they were able to present, to a point that the terms that had been given earlier on were able to be quashed. And also other cases are still ongoing here at the Milimani Law Courts, and we're still following up, and we'll be able to give you more details in regards to this. But as of now, those are the two cases that we have followed up here at the Milimani Law Courts, which involve the KRA manager Joseph Gekonyo and the wife Lucy Hanangi, and also the two rugby players who are Alex Alaba and Frank Wanyama. Also, a lot of drama has been happening here at the Milimani Law Courts, but we will not be able to comment on that given that we do not have the required documents to know if indeed some of the allegations that have been put across are true or false. Back to you, Safin.
All right, thank you, Serafina, for that update coming to us from the corridors of justice. Quite a number of cases she's following up on this particular morning. We'll be giving you details about them later in the course of the day. Now, we want to focus on matters politics. We begin in Nakuru County, where the Governor Lee Kinyanjui has rubbished impeachment threats issued by a section of the Nakuru members of the County Assembly. Kinyanjui says the impeachment motion, which was being crafted by a section of MCAs, seeking to oust him on allegations of violating the Constitution, abuse of office and failure to account for public funds, was motivated by mischief and malice. Elsewhere, a section of MPs have hailed the judiciary for the recent landmark ruling on corruption, where 2 persons were handed heavy penalties.
Nakuru County Governor Lee Kinyanjui says he will not be cowed by members of the County Assembly who are now threatening to impeach him over improper procurement practices at the devolved unit. Speaking at his offices at the county headquarters, the Nakuru County boss says the upsurge in impeachment motions across the country threatens to kill devolutions by disrupting service delivery. The governor is now calling for review of the impeachment process on issues to do with public participation, timelines and threshold, among others, as MCAs harboring hidden political motives were exploiting and abusing the loopholes to hold governors at ransom.
We want to say from the onset that the procurement function is a function of the executive, and that the assembly has no role in procurement unless there is a malpractice. If there's a malpractice, it's the responsibility of the assembly to come up with very clear areas that require redress. However, as to which officers, government officers serve in those offices and how they serve is not a function of the specific MCAs.
Elsewhere in Kiambu County, Githunguri MP Gabriel Kago and his Gatondo North counterpart Wanjiko Kibe have held the judiciary for punitive penalties recently meted on culprits of corruption.
The money that got lost through NCPB, that is a lot of money, of almost $1 billion. That money can be used, if, for example, we are given that money in my constituency, we can have all the roads tarmacked. I mean, how can someone pocket all that money alone?
In Isiolo County, a section of Burat Ward residents from Turkana community have now come out in defense of embattled area MCA Hassan Yaro following the initiation of a process to recall him from Isiolo County Assembly. Led by Isiolo Turkana Council of Elders Chairman Albino Ekitela, the community has dismissed attempts by a petitioner, noting that he's an outsider, spending most of his time in Nairobi and does not know much about what is going on in the ward.
Langu tu nimetetea Yoro kulingana vile mimi najua kazi yake tangu tuishi na yeye. Yoro katika mambo ya amani tunashirikiana na yeye. Yoro tango achaguliwe awe MCA ABORTED, ameweka jamii yake yote pamoja na community yote ameweka pamoja, na tunatembea tukubiri amani. Ingine pia Yoro kulingana vile mimi nimeongea kwamba hiyo barua haina maana, ni ya uongo. Yoro pia wanasaidia jamii yote.
Through a letter dated 24th June 2020 and addressed to Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, one Borat resident identified as Andrew Mola Ilere on behalf of ward residents sought to kickstart the process to recall their MCAs on grounds of persistent neglect of the electorate, failure to do oversight, legislation and representation in the county assembly, and allegedly involving himself in corruption-related activities. Kevin Washira, Lunchtime News.
And now we want to focus on other matters. Police in Kiambu County are investigating an attempted bank robbery at the K Unity Bank's Kikuyu branch. Kiambu County Police Commandant Ali Nuno says some criminals had managed to gain access to the bank by drilling a hole into the bank from an adjacent building which housed a bookshop. Jackie Wambiru reports.
At the K Unity Bank Kikuyu branch in Kiambu County, it is business unusual. This is after employees reported to work only to discover an attempted heist at the facility, evidenced by debris from an enormous hole on the wall. According to the police, the suspects who were still at large tried to break into the bank by drilling a hole through the wall of the building, works that police suspect began earlier this month. Kiambu County Police Commandant Ali Nuno saying the suspects had rented out the room adjacent to the bank, setting up a bookshop.
They could not gain entry into the bank. We made efforts to call the manager, and this morning when she came, we opened the bank. It was discovered that there was a hole which was drilled from the bank into the neighborhood in the rented houses.
Nuno says there had been incidences where the intruder alarm had gone off at the bank due to the noise emanating from the room. Police are holding the landlord who rented out the building to the suspects for questioning as investigations into the attempted robbery continue.
Investigations are underway, and I want to caution the general public and also the commercial sector, the financial sector. The financial sector should always be conscious of these crimes which have been committed within their neighborhood. Those who rented the house are on the run. We are looking for them.
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
All right, away from how to eradicate crime to now mitigate on measures against COVID-19, with the government working on a plan to reopen schools. The Ministry of Water and Sanitation is planning to avail watering and washing points across learning institutions to ensure compliance with the Ministry of Health's guidelines on containment of COVID-19. The development coming as religious and political leaders drawn from Embu County urge the government to involve the clergy in addressing societal issues attributed to the coronavirus pandemic.
The church says the cases of family breakdowns, divorce, domestic disputes, depressions, and unruly children had spiraled as people stay at home in an attempt to stop the spread of the novel coronavirus. Religious leaders say the government should involve them in the interventions undertaken to fight the virus, as well as addressing emerging societal problems.
Sisi kama kanisa tumeona ni vyema na ni vizuri jambo lolote linapofanywa, mikakati yote inapofanywa, mapendekezo yanayofanywa, pia kanisa mahana ni sekta ambayo ni ya muhimu sana, ambayo inatoa ushauri wa kiroho hiwe ikihusishwa.
Runyenje's Member of Parliament Eric Moshangi saying churches can act as a good platform to inculcate good morals.
Viongozi wetu wa dini pia ni watu ambao wanajali maslahi ya watu wao. Kwa hivyo wakiambiwa wazingatie mipangilio ya jinsi ambavyo watu watakuwa wanaketi kwa kanisa, mimi najua watafanya hivyo. Na pia wale ambao pia ni waumini ni watu ambao wanajali maisha yao. Kwa hivyo wataweka social distancing na watanawa.
And with the government planning to reopen schools beginning September, the Water Ministry is planning to avail watering and washing points in schools to ensure compliance with guidelines meant to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Speaking in Aldamaravine, Baringo County, while inspecting Chemususu Dam Phase 2 project, Water Cabinet Secretary Cecily Kariuki said the collaboration with the Education Ministry to ensure all guidelines are met, including water provision, which is key in the fight against the virus.
It's true, we will be availing watering and wash points in the institutions of learning in coordination or in collaboration with our colleagues responsible for.
Beatrice Gatonyengetich, Channel 1 News.
Thank you, Beatrice, for that report. Now, Nyeri County Commissioner Loyford Kibara is urging area residents to embrace tree planting in a bid to increase the country's forest cover. Kibara was speaking during the commemoration of the end of the African Public Service Week, where he led civil servants and hundreds of residents in planting over 2,000 tree seedlings around Mount Kenya Forest. Civil servants, joined by hundreds of residents from Nyeri County, turned up for the celebrations to mark the end of the African Public Service Week. Nyeri County Commissioner Loyford Kibara, who led the residents in planting over 2,000 tree seedlings around Mount Kenya Forest, calling for the need to support the country's vision of increasing the forest cover to 10% and for Nyeri County to achieve 40% forest cover by 2022.
The mission of our exercise today is to support His Excellency the President on the forest cover, where he requires every farmer and every one of us to have at least 10% forest cover in our farmland, and also protect the water towers that we have.
We were impressed. We have learned a lot about conservation. We want you to continue with the conservation efforts. The ministry, where it can, it will assist and support.
According to the Kenya Forest Service, private lands and public institutions can play a big role in increasing the country's forest cover, which now stands at 7.2%. Meanwhile, Water Cabinet Secretary Cecily Kariuki has blamed human activities for the perennial flooding in Rift Valley lakes, saying the degradation of soil has led to expansion of water bodies. Speaking in Eldama Ravine, Kariuki regretted that the phenomenon on 3 lakes, Lake Bogoria, Lake Naivasha and Lake Baringo, is as a result of soil erosion, which has led to heavy siltation of lakes, leading to the water bodies expanding.
Vile tunalima siku hizi, tunalima vile tulilima miaka 20 iliyopita. Hatujali mmonyonyoko ama soil erosion ina impact gani ikiingia kwa water body. That is one of the problems. Kwa hivyo sisi wa kilimo na kuona huko hapa, turudi tena tufundishe watu wetu mambo ya land, proper land use. Ndio soil erosion does also not give us a problem we are having. Siltation is one of the biggest problems because soil is just finding itself into the water bodies.
All right, this next one is an unfortunate story. A middle-aged man was stabbed to death in Nambale, Busia County in a suspected case of love triangle. The body of the deceased, who's yet to be identified, was found next to the house of a woman said to have been having an affair with him.
Cases of violence have been on the ascendancy during this period of COVID-19 pandemic. In the latest incident, a middle-aged man in Nambale sub-county in Busia County was stabbed to death in a suspected case of illicit love affair. Witnesses in the neighborhood claimed they overheard commotion, which later turned into a vicious brawl in the middle of the night.
Na serikali imwambia sisi kufika saa 3 mtu akuwe amelala. Hata singeenda polisi sababu polisi wenyewe walikuwa nje. Mimi hata ningepita wapi?
The neighbors, however, claim to have been hesitant to intervene amid fears of a possibility of police officers implementing curfew directive.
Hapo nilikuwa nafikiri ni askari wanapiga walevi. Mimi singefanya kitu yoyote. Nilisikia kweli sababu ni kwangu. Na huyo wanafikiri hata huyo sio mpangaji wangu. Mimi hata simjui. Na walipigania kwa mwanamke. Mwanamke iko hai, hajakufa, ataeleza.
Amid the tragic love triangle, the residents expressing concern over escalating attacks in the area.
Kifo cha kijana mwenye amekufa, sababu si kijana wa kwanza kukufia hapa mahali. Hapa mahali waliua mwenye alikuwa anafanya kwa buchari, wakamuua. Na huyu mzee sijui ameweka nini.
Meanwhile, a family in Kachien village, Homa Bay County, is mourning the brutal murder of their teenage daughter. According to her parents, their daughter was confronted by a boy in an act that began as a joke, but later degenerated into an altercation.
Judith akirudi saa 10 na ng'ombe, akamwambia mimi, mama, umesana Judith, Noel. Sulienda na Noel kuchunga ng'ombe. Ni Noel, Mike alifukuza yeye kwa mahindi lakini hajarudi. Nilitafuta tu Noel kuanza asubuhi mpaka jioni kwa hiyo mahindi. Nilipita laini kwa moja sikuona Noel.
The scuffle resulting in the boy hitting the girl on the head, leading to her death.
Kama Mike alifukuza mtoto alikuwa na mawe. Na vile tulienda kwa daktari. Grabe walipima, akaona kwa kichwa alikongwa na kwa bafu hapo.
For Channel 1 News, I am Emily K. Bade.
There was a drama in Lamu after the area women representative Ruweida Mohammed stormed a diesel station demanding restoration of power supply at Pate Island. Her move is said to have been prompted by lack of electricity in the island since early this month, amid claims that efforts to have it restored fell on deaf ears.
Monday afternoon at the Faza diesel power station in Lamu County. Pate Island residents led by area woman member of parliament Ruweida Mohammed staged a demonstration demanding restoration of power on the island, which has experienced blackouts since June 9th. The woman representative saying that despite efforts to have the situation addressed, no help has been forthcoming, with the Rural Electrification Authority and Kenya Power being accused of laxity.
Majibu ya CS na wale MD watatu walikuja. It is in Hansard. Wamesema 27 ambayo itakuwa Saturday. Hii iliyopita. Stima itakuwa zimerudi.
So we are doing the technical issues. Stima itarudi. We don't have a specific time. This is not national grid. This is an off-grid. It has its own protocols. Once you start a machine, you have to soak it, you have to test it, and you have to read it. So we can't give you a tender.
And even with authorities saying that their demands of having power restored immediately could not be met, the group would not relent and opted to spend the night at the station until their concerns are addressed.
Wametutia tamaa kuanzia jioni kwamba watatupa moto baada ya kupotea kwa muda wa mwezi, na tumekaa hapa mpaka muda huu bado tuongojea tukitaraji moto utawaka, lakini mpaka sasa wametuambia kwamba wao wameshindwa na kazi, waenda kulala. Sisi tumeamua tutakesha hapa mpaka asubuhi mpaka wahakikishe kwamba wametoa moto.
The lawmaker says over 20,000 families have been affected. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
All right, still focusing on what's happening in the coastal region, a renowned businessman in Mombasa has been arraigned at the Shanzu Law Courts amid accusations that he defrauded several people of millions of shillings by impersonating a prominent politician in the county. Fahmi Salim is said to have swindled 5 unsuspecting members of the public monies in excess of 11 million shillings.
At Shanzu Law Courts, a renowned Mombasa businessman, Fahmi Salim, was arraigned facing charges of defrauding several people of millions of shillings, disguising himself as a prominent politician. The court heard that the 34-year-old was arrested after several complaints by people who fell victim to his deceptive tricks. The charge sheet indicates that the accused defrauded 5 unsuspecting Kenyans' monies totaling to 11.2 million shillings. Through the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, it was established that some of the victims are the defendant's relative whom he swindled millions of shillings. Fahim was arrested by detectives based in Mombasa on Saturday from his hideout in an apartment in Nyale. Appearing before Shanzu Magistrate Yusuf Shikanda, authorities asked the plea taking to be deferred to 1st of July so as to enable them to amend the charges and the accused to be remanded at Makupa Police Station. The case will be mentioned on July 1st. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
And dozens of families in Mavoko area of Machakos County spent the night in the cold after an attack that left huge destruction of homes and subsequent displacement in its wake. Even though the motive of the attack remains unclear, it is suspected that the act was fueled by an ongoing land ownership wrangle pitting the families and a private developer eyeing the prime piece of land. Nancy Okware gives us more details.
After spending the night in the cold, residents of Mavoko held demonstrations protesting the destruction on their homes that sat on this 30-acre piece of land. The area residents say that armed people descended upon them armed to the tooth, destroying anything on their path amid extensive looting. According to eyewitnesses, women and children were forced to scamper for safety as men tried to contain the situation, but in vain. Though unclear, it is said that the chaos were fueled by an ongoing land wrangle between the residents and a private developer. The residents further say that in a month, this is the third attack despite them having a valid title deed.
Watu wametupora mali yetu, TV, kila kitu amepora kwa manyumba. Lakini ile shida iko ni watu kama ametuma, kwa sababu wakati tulikimbizana nao tulipata watu waliletwa na magari yakamwaga hapa, magari yao ilikuwa yamefichwa mahali pale.
Wamekuwa wakikuja kwa mashamba kusema shamba ni yao, wanajua mwenye shamba, na sisi wenyewe tunajua sisi ndio wenye wa hii shamba.
They are accusing Mavoko police officers of failing to protect them at night.
Polisi hawadai kutusaidia. Penye wamekuja leo tukifunga barabara, wanataka kutuambia tufungue barabara, na sisi tulikuwa tunataka kuambiwa kwa nini tunapigwa usiku.
Alituambia mali ya kitambo juzi tupeleke dokumenti yetu kwa CID, tukapeleka. Upelelezi bado hajaisha, tunangojea.
However, at the River Sub-County Police Boss Catherine Ringera speaking on phone downplayed the claims, saying security will be enhanced, even as she called on the affected families to produce their title deeds for verification. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
And now the World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom is warning that the coronavirus pandemic could be far from over in spite of gains made towards its containment. Over 10.4 million people around the world have been diagnosed with coronavirus, with more than 5.6 million having recovered. At least 508,000 people have succumbed to the virus. This is according to data from Johns Hopkins University.
World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom says the coronavirus pandemic is not even close to being over. WHO urging governments to take appropriate steps to contain the virus, warning that the pandemic is speeding up and the worst is yet to come. The sentiments coming as WHO announced that a team from the Global Health Agency will be sent to China next week to investigate the origin of the coronavirus. This, as several states in the United States are opposing reopening plans amid a surge in coronavirus cases and hospitalization. The U.S. continues to be the hardest hit, with 2.6 million infections and over 128,000 virus-related deaths. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom will introduce legal changes shortly to enforce a lockdown imposed on the English city of Leicester, where there has been a flare-up of the novel coronavirus. The state of South Australia has cancelled plans to reopen its borders to interstate travellers from neighbouring Victoria after a spike in coronavirus cases. Restrictions were supposed to be removed on July 20th. And Germany will extend by 1 week the restricting measures enforced around one of the two districts that were put under lockdown on June 23rd. Some 600,000 people were forced into quarantine after more than 1,500 workers tested positive at a meat processing plant. And human trials of a new vaccine will be taking place in India next month. Hyderabad-based firm Bharat Biotech says tests in animals suggest that the vaccine is safe and triggers an effective immune response. Elsewhere, scientists in China have identified a new strain of flu that has the potential to become a pandemic. The strain is said to have emerged recently and is carried by pigs but can infect humans. Researchers are concerned that it could mutate further and spread easily from humans to humans. For Channel 1 News, I am Emily K. Bade.
It's now time for us to switch gears and focus on matters business. And remember, in the course of this particular broadcast as well, we'll be looking at entrepreneurship today, having a conversation revolving around even how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected businesses and even just people really crying foul over the loss of jobs, as some companies have had to close down, others laying off people. We'll be talking about all those dynamics and what we should be expecting in the coming days. I'll be having a sit down with Simon Gishira. He's a business consultant. Now, let me bring you up to speed with what has been trending in the world of business. Kenya's diaspora remittances recovered slightly in the month of May to 27.4 billion shillings as countries eased their COVID-19 restrictions. The latest Central Bank of Kenya data shows that the 24% rise in remittances was driven by increased payments from the United States, United Kingdom, and South Africa. Cumulatively, diaspora remittances now stand at 299 billion shillings in 12 months of May.
Global diaspora remittances have nosedived in the last 6 months as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to batter the global economy. Projections by the World Bank indicate that diaspora inflows are expected to drop by 20% this year as countries emerge from a painful virus-induced shutdown. The bank says remittances to low and middle-income countries are to be the hardest hit, dropping by 19.7% to 445 billion shillings. According to latest data by the Central Bank of Kenya, diaspora remittances increased by 24% in the month of May, after Kenyans sent a total of 27.4 billion shillings from 22.1 billion shillings in the month of April. CBK says the highest increases in inflows came from the US, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, the United Kingdom, Qatar, Australia, and Switzerland in that order. CBK data reveals that cumulative inflows in the 12 months to May 2020 totaled 298 billion shillings against 290 billion shillings in the 12 months to May 2019, reflecting a growth of 2.8%. Diaspora remittances fell by 9% in April to 22 billion shillings from 24.2 billion shillings in March, after a sluggish performance in January and February. O'Brien, Kevin for Business, Lunchtime News.
The organizers of the Geneva Motor Show have decided to scrap a 2021 event and want to sell up. The International Auto Show was due to take place in March, but the company behind it has seen weak demand for car brands and exhibitors. Details of this and other stories in our International Business News Roundup.
This year's event was cancelled along with a host of other motor shows around the world due to the coronavirus. The announcement raises questions about the future of such events globally as car brands rethink their strategies. The majority of the event's exhibitors who took part in a survey said they would probably not participate in a show next year, the organizers added. Other auto shows were also scrapped this year, including those planned for the New York and Detroit areas amid health concerns. Car brands use such events to debut their latest models and unveil concept cars. Meanwhile, the UK's financial watchdog has lifted restrictions on German payments company Wirecard, allowing it to resume payment activities. The Financial Conduct Authority imposed restrictions on the company's UK arm after its collapse last week. Thousands of people could not access their money or make payments through apps as a result. The FCA said that their primary objective all along has been to protect the interests and the money of consumers. Consumers should now, or very shortly, be able to use their cards as usual. And YouTube has banned some prominent white supremacist channels as internet companies face a backlash over racist content. The Google-owned video platform said the channels had violated its policies that prohibit hate speech. In recent days, social media companies have been boycotted by a number of major advertisers. Monday, Foodmoto joined a growing list of global brands that are opposing social media advertising during July. In a statement, YouTube said that the platform has strict policies prohibiting hate speech on YouTube and terminate any channel that repeatedly or egregiously violates those policies.
Jubilee Holdings has acquired a 9.44% additional equity stake in Uganda's Bujagali hydropower project to the tune of 4.2 billion shillings. The transaction now pushes the Jubilee stake to 18.24%, which Group Chairman Nizar Juma says will provide the firm with stable and consistent returns as it diversifies its investment portfolio.
This transaction increases Jubilee Holdings' stake in Bujagali Energy Limited Special Purpose Company that owns the 250-megawatt Bujagali hydropower project from 8.8% to 18.24%. The hydropower in Uganda has been constructed at a cost of 90 billion shillings, funded through equity and debt financing. Group Chairman Nizar Juma in a statement says, quote-unquote, "We are very pleased with this additional investment in Bujagali, and we have confidence that it will continue to provide us with stable and consistent returns, as has been the case with all of our existing investments," end of quote. The investment is part of the strategy to hold a broadly diversified and conservative portfolio of investments amounting to 111.2 billion shillings. According to the firm, transaction was triggered following the exit of former partner Seth Global in the year 2018. Essent Power remains the majority shareholder in Bujagali with 55.45% shares in BEL investments in clean, renewable energy on a commercial basis in emerging markets. Bujagali hydropower provides at least half of Uganda's power generation. And the Turkish government, through the Turkish Cooperation and Development Agency, TICA, has launched a 16,000 egg hatchery facility at Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization in Kakamega County. The program launched a new breed of indigenous chicken that offers better yield called Kari Kienyeji chicken.
We want to support the women-headed households, especially to contribute their income through providing them improved Kienyeji local chicken.
The program coordinator, Emre Yüksek, says the program targets smallholder farmers to help contribute to their income as the new breed has less overhead costs when compared to their commercial counterparts.
And now it's time for us to kick off with our conversation of the day as we look at how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the business sector. Joining me to have this very important conversation is none other than Simon Gishira. He's a business consultant. Thank you so much, Simon, for creating time for us.
Thank you.
I know it's been a busy season for you. You work a lot with SMEs. I want us, first of all, to begin on a general perspective, just to get a clear picture on how, this pandemic has affected the small businesses. Since the first case was reported in the country, what has been happening in the business sector?
Thank you, Serafin. Just like you said, my name is Simon. I work very closely with the ILO, that is International Labour Organization. And our key mandate is all about job creation. And just like you said, because of this COVID-19 crisis that has hit the whole world, has really affected many businesses, especially the micro, small and medium enterprises. And just to give an overview of what has been happening, of course, because of the closure, restriction of movement, many businesses have been affected in terms of profitability, productivity, and that has also led to many businesses opting to lay off their staffs, of course, as a way of maintaining float in the market. And maybe as we go on, we will be discussing more about this and what are some of the things that we are doing as ILO to support businesses to keep afloat even in this COVID-19 crisis.
Mm-hmm. You've talked about, quite a number of effects that have had to be felt in the business sector during this COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah. I want us to look at the specifics. Apart from profit, what else would you say is happening in terms of even how the manner in which businesses operate, their operations, how they run their activities? If you look at the whole business world in a circle, what would you say has been some of these impacts?
Of course, speaking from a business perspective, I can guarantee you that it is quite a lot of changes. One, in terms of sales, you remember the main objective of any entrepreneur is to make sale, and from that sales, he makes some profit. And because of the restriction of movement, many people are holding money, and so that means many businesses have been affected in terms of making sales because of actually what is happening. But just to make it, to put it into perspective, take it for instance, the people who remember, most of my clients are people who are doing small businesses. I'm not talking about corporate, although we shall also discuss it a little bit. There is a lot of changes. For example, there are some departments that have been affected. Nowadays, people cannot have meetings, you cannot do sales, you cannot do marketing the way you used to do it. Most of the businesses, it was one-on-one. Remember, not many businesses can afford to bring an advert on a telly. Not many businesses, especially in micro enterprises and medium, not many of them and embrace technology, social media, and those are some of the things that we are encouraging our customers to begin to embrace. I hope I've answered your question, correct, Seraphine?
Yeah, sure, you have. If things go the way, if the status quo remains, you've talked about quite a number of negative impacts. This all courtesy of some of the measures that were put in place by the government to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. We all agree they have affected several sectors, not just the business sector. If the status quo remains, because we are very uncertain when this pandemic will go away, what should we expect in the world of business going forward? What are some of the businesses are going to do in terms of options?
Good. We must also, first of all, appreciate that this is not the first pandemic that has hit the world. I know this is in public domain. We had things like Spanish flu, we had influenza, we had SARS in times year back, although that happened many years ago when some of us were not yet born. But it's good to learn from what happened before us. And one of the unique things about COVID-19 is that we must accept that this is something that is here to stay with us. The new adjustment that have come, this is not a 1 year or 2 years. This is something that will go for several years. And that's why we are advising our clients to brace for change. And so allow me to bring in some of the things that I felt I needed to share with my viewers today. One, it's good for us to recognize the value of adaptability, the need to adapt to the new changes, the need to embrace the new norm, as we are calling it out there in the marketplace. The change in which we are seeing today, we may have to live for it for longer, just like you said. And somebody said that change is the only constant in business world. I know we have quite a number of businesses that are living in denial, most entrepreneurs, who think this is something that will go. Remember when the president announced the restrictions back in March, April, some of the people who were laid down, who were sent on a leave, they thought that this is something that will go for a month or so, and then they will be called back. But truth be said, they might find themselves out of job forever.
All right. Sorry to cut you short, Simon. Even as you continue, I know we all agree that this is going to take longer than what many people had anticipated. So what should entrepreneurs do to stay afloat during these very trying times in the business sector?
Okay. Number one, I'll talk about 5 C's. 5 C's. Number one, it's good for every entrepreneur to be able to conserve cash. The first C, I'll talk about cash. It's good for every entrepreneur know how to preserve his cash. Cash flow is very important. And that means how cash comes in and how it goes out. It's very important for every entrepreneur. And so it's good for you to manage that. Because of time, let me rush. Number 2, it's good to manage your customers. The few customers that you're already enjoying, the few customers who are still loyal to you, the few customers who are able to interact with your business. It's good to empathize with them. If you have, it's good to embrace new methodologies of handling client. Some of those clients, maybe you may never have an opportunity to visit them. It's good to know what they are going through, because these are the people who will keep you afloat, and these are the people who will give you more referrals. Number 3, it's good to let's talk about credit. This is a time to talk to your bank. This is a time to talk to financiers. People can give you a little bit of boost in your business so that you remain afloat as things changes and as we continue to know how to continue. Number 4, colleagues. It's good to also maintain a good flow with your colleagues. I know there has been the bureaucracies that we have seen in the past, where the relationship between employees and the management, sometimes it's very rigid. And this is the time to embrace the ideas that come from the colleagues. These are the people who interact with your customers every day as a CEO, as a manager.
All right.
Yes.
All right, Simon. 3 is very powerful there on how entrepreneurs can stay afloat during these trying times.
Yes.
Let's wind up by looking also at the labor market. There's so many people who've been laid off at this particular time, unfortunately, when they're watching this. There has been that dilemma on this part of the employers. They're saying, okay, fine, you want us to, keep people at work, keep paying them salaries. But then again, things are tough even on our side as employers. We are not earning that much. We are not making any money. So what would you say in terms of this tricky balance of a situation?
Thank you. Now, in fact, part of what you've been doing before the COVID-19 came, as I said, I am a trainer, a certified trainer, working with an institution called Destiny Path Initiative. What we do, we run a program on behalf of ILO, that is International Labour Organization, dubbed SIYB. That is start and improve your business. So what we are doing, we are helping these people who have been laid off to start their businesses, to take advantage of the experience and the network they have accrued over the years, to take advantage of the float, the little float they have right now, to package themselves and start a business instead of instead of staying at home, doing nothing. We are encouraging majority of these people who have been laid down to come over to us. We will take you through a program, and just to allow me to take you through our 4 modules. Our first module is generating your business ideas.
Very quickly because of time, Simon.
Yes. Okay.
All right, you can go on.
Very quickly,
Yeah.
The first module is generate your business idea. That's when we take through people who generate startups. We want to help them to manage the ideas, scrutinize the ideas, help them do a research and see whether it is palatable. Number 2, start your business module. That's where we bring on board the issues of business plan, issues of mentorship, issues of consultation. That's where it comes in. Number 3, improve your business. This is where now there are people who are already in business. Some of them who are doing business as a side hustle while still in job. We help them now to make it a major thing in their life and to even create more jobs for other people. And the last one, Selfin, is expand your business. This is where now we help you to make your product, though you are offering it at a local level, to do it to be able to touch the globe through your product.
Thank you so much, Simon, for those wonderful tips. Of course, this coronavirus pandemic has really taught so many people a lot of lessons. It's a season of soul searching. For those who have lost their jobs, perhaps at this particular time, they could be weighing a lot of options. So having such an initiative just to walk them through this journey is really quite important. Thank you so much for creating time for us. Simon Gishira, their business consultant, as we were engaging him on how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the world of business. Time now for us to focus on the sports news. The NBA and the National Basketball Players Association plan to paint Black Lives Matter on all courts when the season restarts in July. Earlier this month, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said the league wanted to use its return as a way to increase awareness and to implement change in society. The NBA plans to use 3 arenas at the Disney site as 22 of the league's 30 teams conclude the regular season from July 30th. Reports indicate that the Women's National Basketball Association also might follow the NBA's lead and put Black Lives Matter on its court at the IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida for its 2020 season. Leicester City head coach Brendan Rodgers has defended Jamie Vardy's form and said his focus was on the team as a whole amid their goal-scoring struggles. The Foxes have scored just 1 goal in 3 games since the EPL restarted and were eliminated from FA following their 1-0 defeat to Chelsea on Sunday. Vardy is without a goal in those 3 games but has scored 19 times in 33 matches this season with 6 assists. Leicester City, who were on 3rd on the English Premier League standings, are away to Everton in the Premier League on Wednesday, with 4th place Chelsea 1 point behind the Foxes, while Wolves are also lacking 3 points back in 5th. And that marks the end of our bulletin for this particular hour. Thank you so much for creating time for us. And those who are following us online, Charles Ogutu, Kwame Olo, thank you so much for sharing and also creating time to watch us at this particular time. We are now going to be wishing you a lovely afternoon. Let's see each other again tomorrow right here on KBC Lunchtime News. But remember to catch up subsequent news bulletins at 7 p.m. and at 9 p.m. My name is Afina Cheng Oma, and our sign language interpreter has been Lucy Maura.